Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Rick Bosley, the team leader for the Keller Williams Waterford Lakes office in Orlando, Florida, and very excited because we're spanning across the country right now and have the privilege to talk with somebody who I've really been following and watching, and kind of before she became as, I don't know if as big as you are because I found you from across the nation. But Laura, you've really just, in the 3 years you've been with Keller Williams, or 3.5 years, really made an impact of an influential leader, and excited to talk to you about how that journey has been for you, what your focus is now, what the next step looks like, just to get to know you on a more personal level, because a lot of people see you as Lori Ballen, the person on stage, or the person on Facebook, or the person who's traveling across the country, and we get to kind of be unplugged and raw. So thank you for being on here with us, Lori.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You bet. So people are still flying in there. Again, if you guys have any questions, please put it in the Q&A spot there, and then as we're done talking, we're going to open it up, so asking you some questions. Again, this is live, so if you ask her a question she doesn't know the answer, we're all human, and that's okay. So we're going to appreciate that we forgive her for that. We're recording this, so be on best behavior. Lori, our first conversation, I don't know if you recall, it was a Saturday probably about 1.5 years ago. And I reached out to you because I found you on Facebook, and I just saw some things you were doing with really linking in and leveraging technology to do some internet lead generation. Do you recall that conversation?
I do remember. I was in my pajamas walking around with a coffee mug, as a matter of fact.
Well, I forget that you guys are 3 hours behind, so it's probably 10 a.m., so I woke you up at 7 o'clock in the morning.
It was early. It was early, but it was a good call. I remember.
Well, you took the call, and I said, you know what, as a team leader, I would love to be able to utilize what top agents are doing, and how could I relate that to my business? And from there, we've built a great friendship where we visit each other at the different events, hung out in Las Vegas for masterminds, just really enjoy getting to know you. So what I love is letting everybody else here who's listening kind of get to know your story real fast, from the point of catering to when you had the lowest of lows and how you came out of that with failure is not an option, and where you're at now. If you could give us a Cliff Note version of your journey, I'd love to have you share that again.
Sure. Well, going way back, I got married at 17 years old and divorced at 21 with a newborn baby. So I was out for an adventure right from that point, I would say. I was an interpreter for the deaf at the time. I was a sign language interpreter and freelance, so not making a lot of money, and I found myself with this, little baby. Met about the end of that year. She was just about 1 year old. And my husband, Richard, now had a catering and entertainment company, and it was really small. He was also recently divorced with 2 young daughters, and he was working out of his garage, basically, doing these little catered events, and he was a magician. And I remember telling him the first day that we went out on a date, I said, hey, we can date, but I'm never going to work with you. Which is hilarious now, 20 years later, looking at how we've, that's all we've ever done is work together. I spent some time in the catering company I don't know why, unfortunately, I didn't go to college. In fact, I didn't even graduate high school. But I was really intrigued by the marketing of his business and the study of who his customers were and what message we could get out to that audience. So I spent some time digging into his files and figuring out who that was. And once I figured that out, I was able to find a way to create a message and a product that appealed to get it out to them in masses. This was the 90s, so the masses back then was direct mail, and it was fax machines. So I would sit there rolling this fax over and over and over again to all of these marketing directors and human resources directors, and
so you're doing the 33 touch via fax before it was so simplistic plug and play.
Yeah, but it was something, because it probably took me 8 hours to reach like 40 people, because I kept having to roll that same, literally the thermal roll faxes over and over again. But yes, it was the same thing, touching them again and again. We didn't have social media. We didn't have we didn't even have internet at the time, not yet. So that was our way of getting to them. What happened, though, is our business just exploded. I mean, as soon as I started doing that, it literally was overnight that we had more business than we could handle. So my husband started going out. The money started flowing quickly, and he started going out and acquiring other catering companies that were going out of business. We bought rental companies and entertainment companies and chefs, all of their stuff when they closed out. So we just kept acquiring all of these businesses, and eventually we had a 10,000 square foot catering facility, a custom built kitchen, a banquet and wedding hall, party shop.
Now, was it a similar process? Because oftentimes when realtors get in there and they hear these success stories, some of them tend to be impatient. The high D's in the room can be a little impatient. They say, I've been doing this for 4 days, where's my results? Did you see the same thing as you might see here, that it's going to take 4 and 5 and 6 months of consistent marketing to finally turn the water faucet on?
You know, I have to be careful about my answer because I get results really fast because I take action fast. Now that results need to be defined, however,
okay.
Because I can generate leads in 24 hours. You give me leads for it in 24 hours, I guarantee it. But turning that into profit, is a whole different story. You've got to get the leads. You've got to learn technique. You got to learn conversion.
Get the systems around the leads.
Yeah, so there is a process that goes around. Generating leads is easy. It just, in my opinion, I just blink and I know how to get business. So, not to sound arrogant, that's just my strong point.
Well, that's one of the reasons we have 50+ people on here right now, and it's still pouring in, because I believe they're all going to love to hear how you are turning that water on so quickly. So we're going to get to that as well. So I'm excited to tease them with that.
Yeah. Well, like I was just saying, it's the same thing with the catering company. We're just using a different medium today, which is the internet, and it's a different industry, which is real estate. Actually, through that time period when we had our catering company, I also opened we had a catering company, and then I opened an entertainment company that was magicians and mimes and jugglers and models and singers and all of that kind of stuff in Las Vegas. We marketed it the same way and got business right away. Profitable, $1 million profit our first year with our catering company. Then we turned an immediate profit with our entertainment company. Then I opened a children's resale store. So it was used, not abused, children's clothing and furnishing. Now, profit there didn't come so quick. We were in the red probably for 18 months before I started seeing the profit. So I was able to generate I was able to generate business, but to figure out how the profit margins and everything worked in retail was completely different than in a service industry. But still, we were able to do it. We built all of those companies to the 7th level, which at the time, 7th level meaning we've stepped out of our business. We no longer have a specific job role in our business. We don't have to show up every day, and we draw income. We did that with all 3 of our businesses, but very unintentionally. It was very natural. We just kept growing and kept building and kept hiring and top grading our talent. And before we knew it, my husband and I found ourselves, we were literally at Newport Beach on vacation with our 3 little daughters at the time. And I remember him looking at me and saying, hey, Lori, it's really quiet. And I thought he meant the birds and the waves. And I go, yeah, isn't it nice? He goes, no, our beepers aren't going off. Yeah, this was back in the day of beepers.
You just age yourself. Be careful.
There's nothing happening. And that was the day we realized that I was out, which was great. So we thought we were kind of retired, and we were going to actually, what we wanted to do is travel and teach other people on how to build the American dream, how to build profitable businesses. In a fairly short amount of time, the catering company took us about 10 years to build ourselves out of. But somebody came along and made us an offer for our catering company. It wasn't for sale, but we had a death in the company, we had a family situation in the company, and there were a couple things that were just really kind of rubbing me raw anyway. Even though we were making a lot of money, I didn't have to be there. There was a couple things in the company that were really just kind of burning me. So when somebody came along and offered us a large amount of money, larger than we ever thought we would get for the company, we sat our daughters down, asked anybody if they were ever going to be interested in wanting it, and nobody did. So we sold it. Long story short, we got a decent amount up front. In total, we were worth about $3.3 million at the time. After we sold our business, we'd sold our house during the boom and made a lot of money on that, so about $3 million. And we took a couple years off, and we did a lot of things with our kids. We got the older ones off to college. We bought them all new cars. You know, really kind of lived it up for a couple of years, traveled across the United States. It was just this really great time. Then we came home and got bored, and honestly, we just found ourselves living in the casinos. It's Vegas, and
Sin
you know,
City.
we've got very aggressive personality. Yeah, it got us big time. It just, you know, one thing led to another, and before we knew it, we were broke, and we had blown through $3 million, and
Wow.
and we had stocks and investments and all kinds of things, but when you get stuck into that gambling phase, nothing matters. Money's not really money. It's all monopoly money, and it just kind of, you know, we're obsessive. We have compulsive personalities. So once my husband came home one day and said, hey, Lori, guess what? We have to go back to work. And I thought it was a joke. And he says, no, because I didn't pay attention to the money, to be honest with you. At that time, it was him driving more than anything, and he handled the finances. And he says, we got to go back to work. And I said, well, what are we going to do? Go get jobs? I mean, I couldn't even imagine what it was, because, you know, what were we trained for? What were our skills? What you know, we just were business owners, so I didn't know what we would do. So I went to work for my brother's software company, and he begged me to get into real estate with him, and I didn't want to because I thought people didn't like real estate agents, and being liked is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So he went in, and he quickly became the FSBO king. Everybody knew him as the FSBO guy. He liked the for sale by owners.
This is Richard, or this is your brother-in-law?
This is Richard.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard, when Richard got into real estate. He was good at for sale by owners. He had a great technique about showing up and telling them he didn't want to list their house. He just wanted to help them, and he would hold free open houses. Of course, he wound up with the listing all the time.
Yep.
But he hadn't closed anything in 7 months.
Uh-huh.
7 months with no income. And it's funny, now that I've hired people for years in this real estate team, I realize that there really is like a 90-day ramp-up time anyway, before people start making, and that's with help, that's with leads and support. So now I'm not surprised that it took him that long, but at the time I thought, what is he doing wrong that he's not making any money?
Sure.
But he kept pulling at me and saying, Laura, you got to come do this with me. You got to come do this with me. And if you were to apply the same marketing techniques that you did with our other 3 companies, we will kill it in real estate. And he said, Lori, listen, what other business could you possibly be in where you can start with no capital and your income is unlimited?
Sure.
Unlimited.
Yeah.
Well, that got my attention. You know, I went, wow, you know what? You've got a really good point. There's very little boundaries. I can think outside the box. I can do what I want to do, you know, legally and morally, of course, which I do anyway. So I decided to go ahead and join him. And our first year, this was actually in 2007. Our first year at Coldwell Banker, we were Rookies of the Year and top sales agents in the entire company. As rookies, we beat out their top guy locally.
Sure.
And it was because of this lead generation and these techniques and a strong work ethic, so, you know, business
Right.
and lead generating. The only problem was that we had over there at the other company was they didn't have a model that allowed us to grow. So we kept hitting a wall with profitability because I would hire on a team member, because all I know is working through leverage. It's what I've been doing my entire life. So I would bring on a team member, and they would tell me, you can't charge more than a 25% referral fee to that team member. So it was a 75-25 split, them 75, me 25. I couldn't get profitable.
Sure.
You know. So 4 years later, I'll just be real honest, I don't know any other way, it's just who I am. I was struggling with a long-term prescription drug addiction that was medically induced, but it was still what it was. I had inherited a condition and was suffering with depression, and I was just on a lot of medication. And after a long time of being on that medication, you know, it takes away your ability to love and to care and to feel for somebody, and I left my husband. So I found myself in 2009 at Coldwell Banker, well, all the way through to 2010, separated, and I let Richard take the real estate business, and I went to work for Coldwell Banker kind of as a team leader-ish. I generated all the business for the real estate school, and So Richard wound up spending a year losing the rest of the business. And he did not know how to bring in the business that I was bringing in. So he still closed out in the top 1% of Las Vegas, but he was closing deals, not bringing anything new.
So is it fair to say that you're the lead generator, he's the closer of the team?
No, I was a closer too.
Okay, gotta take it away. Okay, I gotcha.
I was definitely the lead generator, but I'll tell you, Richard's the salesman genius. He is an amazing salesperson. But yes, he couldn't bring in. He could do the sales once the leads came in, but he didn't know how to bring them in masses after that, and he wouldn't go back to the for sale by owners. So he wound up losing everything and literally homeless. When we came to Keller Williams in 2010, we were still separated. Richard was living in his car, and I was living in a tiny little condo with our daughter at the time. And we came to Keller Williams in 2010 broke, no team members, no business, and I had to leave my database behind. So we literally, and I had to, it was a political because of our situation, but we literally came over to Keller Williams as brand new agents, no money. The only thing we had was the experience of the 4 years behind us. So we understood commission objections and how to get a listing and things like that, but that was the only advantage that we had when we came to Keller Williams in 2010.
So from there, and for the sake of time, because I want to make sure that I love hearing the story, and I appreciate being so vulnerable and telling those highs and lows, because it seems like you've seen both ends of the spectrum of most people. You've had your one thing and you're focused. Remember when you taught your internet lead generation Ballen method down here a couple of years ago, you said I was doing 33 touches when You've Got Mail AOL came out. And that's been your one thing where you can, like you said, you can blink and create that. And for those agents on here and agents and staff members who are watching, could you give us a quick glimpse of if they wanted to either dive in or enhance just some quick habits they need to do, or perhaps a glimpse of what you teach in your full Ballen method class? And I can switch it over to your computer if you want. And you can just kind of talk about what a day in the life of somebody who goes from having nothing to 3 years later having what you've got now, and how that habit starts. Can we go into that a little bit?
We can. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure if showing the screen is going to be the best.
Okay.
I don't know how much I can actually show you.
Then let's go through what would you say are your resources right now? Because in your business, not going into conversion rates, but where would you say your leads come from? What sources?
Well, I can answer all of what you just said. First of all, the sources, this is funny because I had we just had a team meeting last week. We were discussing sources, and some of them were a little bit different than what I'd actually expected them to be, and this is why knowing your numbers is so important. We had 30% that had actually come directly from Google searches. Our actual listings, it's closer to 60%. So our seller side coming from Google is significant. Most of our listings come from Google search. And I can break that down into what that is in just a minute. And then 20% of our business came from Facebook. We had 19 come from Sphere of Influence, 6% came from Realtor.com, 3% from clients referring other clients. Now remember, we're still a fairly new business, so we didn't have as much, but we're getting a lot more of that now today. 3% from repeat clients, 3% from YouTube videos, 3% from our short sale website specifically, 3% from open house, and then there's some smaller like door hangers and Zillow and walk-ins are like 1.5%. They break down. So the Google traffic. Did you want a question?
Well, I was going to say predominantly it sounds like you've got Google, Facebook, Sphere of Influence. That accounts for 60%, 70%.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me more about the Google. What is your technique? Are you using pay-per-click or is it all organic SEO?
Google is primarily organic SEO. I will run intermittent pay-per-click campaigns for the purpose of tracking, for the research more than anything. So it might last 6 weeks, and I might say, I want to go after Summerland short sales, so I'm going to run a pay-per-click campaign for Summerland short sales so that I can interpret all the data, and then I know what keyword strings everybody's using, and they've locked up a lot of important.
And that's the Google Analytics. So you can't get analytics unless you are paying for it? And forgive my ignorance.
No, we were able to get Google Analytics, but the search tools that are the reports that were coming out from Ad Tracker were, to me, so much more relevant, and they weren't mixed in with all of my other analytic reports. This was purely my ability to analyze the pay-per-click campaign around a specific keyword string. So I just really like being able to separate that. I'm really not a super geek, and I'm not super analytical, but I love the analytics. I just need to be able to read them in a very simple, separated format so that I can make sense of them. And this has always worked well for me since the beginning. So I like doing it for that purpose. Or I might also do it if I'm going after an industry I've never gone after before, and I need to get on there really quick. It's probably only going to last for a couple weeks because it's going to get really expensive, and I'm going to figure out the organics behind it. Maybe as much as 12 weeks while I'm ramping up to do something else. But it's funny, this time I didn't. I just did this for the last 3 weeks. I came home, well, now it's almost 4, but I came home from Mega Camp and decided to go after a hyper-local community, and I did not run pay-per-clicks against it, so I went right after it, and I immediately got, within 3 weeks, I was showing up on page 1 of Google organically multiple times for multiple keyword strings. So it's really powerful, and what it is it starts first with the website. And
having a website so what are some key factors people will need in their website?
You know what? Most platforms will do it for you if they're set up correctly. How it's set up, like your domain name needs to be set up correctly. Your setup is the most important thing. If you have a mirrored website that's given to you by a company, like I had a Coldwell Banker, we just had a Coldwell Banker site that was a mirror site, and I wasn't getting any Google juice from that. All of the Google juice was going up to the parent company. For example, your market leader site, depending on how it's set up, if it's a .kw realty or something like that, I forget, the domain may not be getting any Google juice at all. So it's important how it's set up. And you can, for anybody on the call with KW, go online to your KW site and you can read all about your e-edge sites and making sure that your domain names and C names are all set up correctly. I'm not the geek on that topic, but I know that they need to be set up correctly.
They can likely just call Market Leader and get that figured out. And if you go to the pro,
call Market Leader. Okay. Exactly. Exactly. Same with the e-agency site. So I've just made sure those were all set up correctly based on how the instructions are provided, and any other platform that allows you to build onto it. So that would be unlimited. It would be the ability to add blog posts. Now, I'll tell you, though, I do have a Market Leader site, and you only have the 5 pages, I think it is, that you get, and then the 1 extra page, and it ranks very high all over Google, even without me having any ability to add, because the community pages are unlimited. So I believe they're unlimited. So the
community pages are unlimited, the IDX, so every unique listing is another page in there if you have the IDX as well, right?
Yeah, as soon as my e-edge site was ranking high on Google within 30 days. It was really fast, really, and it still is one of my highest ranking sites, and I have, I think, 6 or 7. So it does really, really well. So really the platform isn't as important as the content is, and that's why the Market Leader site ranks high, because it is filling it with content with those IDX listings. And if you take the time to go in and set up your community pages, change your text on your buy page, your sell page, anywhere that you can, fill that full of information about that the consumer would be interested in, that talks about your locality or your specialty. It's going to start with our website. Then after we make sure that our website has the content and the message and the product that's appealing to the audience, then we're able to go out and create blog posts, classified ads, write press releases, make videos, use a social media campaign to drive all of that business back into our website now. So my entire focus is creating a message and a product that's appealing to a niche target audience. That's the key. The niche target audience is key. And then using the web to drive everybody back to that central location where I have a lead capture, which is very important on a website. You want lead capture. that's something that pops up and says, hey, I'll give you this if you give me your information. I'll give you this item of value if you put in your email. That's lead capture. And a website without lead capture, you might as well not even have one, because that's your whole purpose is to capture that contact information so that you can then further contact them after that.
And what are your websites if people want to look at an example of what that might look like?
My market leader site is ballengrouphomes.com. My e-agency site, which is my new hyper-local site that we're killing it on right now, is Summerland for Sale. That's SUMMERLIN forsale.com.
Okay.
And then I have, do you want me to keep going?
Those are the two that are mainly, to keep it focused with it, those are the two that are mainly going. And so since Mega Camp, you've been focusing on summerlandforsale.com, right?
Yeah, that is my, I have a seller site too that I drive people to, and a short sale site that I drive those people to, but Summerland for Sale has been my, Ballen Group Homes and Summerland for Sale have been my babies for sure. This one I've been working on since we got home from Mega Camp. That Sunday, I started to build on this site.
Okay.
So I've just been pounding it and pounding it and pounding it with content. I don't do black hat Google. I give Google and the consumers exactly what they want, which is content, 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 and that's why they rank so high.
And by content, how often is too often, or if somebody's blogging once a week or changing it once a week, is that too enough or is that not enough?
Well, I think it depends on what you're doing with it. I don't think there's ever too much if you're doing it with the right motive. I don't ever go in and the only time I go in and change content is when something changes on our team, or if we were to have a new logo or a new agent or something like that, that page might need changed. Or if I have a high ranking, let's just say I made a page about a listing, because listing marketing is huge. Marketing the listings you have is really a good way to get more listings.
Okay.
So if I have a page that's got listings on it, let's just say, and that listing expires, I'll go in and change out the content on that page and add a new listing in there. Otherwise, I'm adding pages, I'm adding posts, I'm adding content.
Awesome. Now I'm here on your blog, if you guys can see this, and again, this is live, and you didn't know I was going to go down this route, Lori, so thanks for letting me.
No, what's funny is I can see my web guys are in there right now up top where it says Ken Test. They were testing a couple things for me on their back end.
That's Ken Granger from Brandco?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's out of the Orlando market here, so we know him well. So these look like they're all of your blogs that you've done, and if you do it with
Those are pages. Those are actual blog pages.
Wow.
Those aren't even the posts.
Wow. So how do you even begin to build this content for somebody who, I'll give you an example. Here's me, and I've got this nice little blog down here.
Nice.
You're beating the heck out of me because this is my second go. That's July 19th.
That's because your last blog was July 19th?
I'm not proud of this. That's why I
and you started January 1st.
Yeah. So thank you for that. 2012, by the way.
Everybody's biggest, huh?
I was going to say, so help me with Rick break this habit.
Everybody's biggest struggle is what to write about.
Okay.
I think they make it way more complicated than they need to. So what I suggest to people, first of all, is you take a recorder, or your cell phone has a recorder on it now, and as you're going about your day, record thoughts, record a situation, and then as soon as you have your downtime, maybe it's coffee time in the morning, maybe you only start out doing it on Saturday mornings from 10 to 11, take all your thoughts and write about one thing that happened, write about one of those thoughts. And you don't have to be a super writer. All you have to do is write about your thoughts. That's natural blogging. Now, my blogging is not natural blogging. On LoriBallen.com, which is my personal branded blog site, those are more of my personal thoughts. You'll see some intense business blogs on there, but that's where I'm naturally getting up. You'll see me write about depression, or I'll write about, a situation at real estate, I'll write about changes in Google, just whatever happens to be coming up that seems really relevant, I'll write on there. So I'm feeding like 6 different blog sites with 6 different themes. But once you start learning content, it starts to flow real naturally. In real estate, the best blog content is the stuff you deal with every day. For example, how many times do you want on a listing appointment, and you hear the same questions asked to you by these sellers over and over and over again? Well, what if you sat down and started a frequently page? This is actually, I wrote the first short sale handbook that I think even existed in my town anyway, back when I was at Coldwell Banker, because I kept taking their questions and writing them down. Then when I'd answer them, I would write down the answer or record it on a recorder. Then I started compiling it. Well, each one of those questions could be a blog post. Just whatever sellers are asking about. Am I going to get more money by staging my home? What happens when the buyer wants to negotiate on inspections? What does the escrow process look like? How long is my home going to be on the market? What do you charge for commission? What are you going to do to sell my home? Do you work with buyers? All those things can become blog content. Now, on this site that we're looking at, I've used localism to fill my blog. So I'm just breaking down all of the zip codes that I'm focused on working, the little neighborhoods. I'm writing market statistics just that I'm looking up in my MLS. And, I'm just giving them information about the community, school information, and sometimes I'll borrow from my other sites, like here what you're looking at, those little graphs are from my Market Insider. So I'm not directly copying all the content verbatim, but I'm taking these little portions and filling in so that those graphics are there, and it makes it that much more appealing. And then I'm just writing around it and building onto it.
How leveraged is this for you right now? Are you writing this, and if so, how long does that take, or are you leveraging this out to your staff?
I'm writing all of this myself.
And
this is all me.
How many hours do you feel you're dedicating towards this?
2 to 3 hours every day my whole life. That's been my lead generation system my whole life, whether I'm stuffing envelopes or sitting in open house or online, it's 2 to 3 hours a day. Now, these results, getting on page 1 of Google in 3 weeks, I've spent every day since I got home from Mega Camp, so 3.5 weeks, every day for probably 8 hours. Now, I have the luxury to do that now because I have a real estate team, but my other businesses, when I was doing sales and I was doing the TC work and I was doing all of that, I still had these results. I just did it by disciplined activities from 2 to 3 in the morning. So I might write 8 blog posts in one morning, but they're not blog posts and I'm writing them all. Some of them I'm using templates like, let's just say our e-edge accounts, for example. If you have the Pro and it has the Craigslist posting tool, I can make a great ad blog post out of that Craigslist posting tool. So I'll take that, the same content that I would put on Craigslist, and I'll put it on a blog site instead, and then I'll write around it just a little bit, like this home is zoned for Bonner Elementary School, and leaving Bonner Elementary School, a child that goes here would then go to Palo Verde High School, just filling in.
And that kind of goes to your Ballen method that you travel the country teaching of how to, when you write it once, to be able to efficiently and quickly put it on Craigslist and the 9 other blog sites, whether it's Tumblr, Active Rain, Blogger, and that's a lot of where the Ballen method comes out. So you're leveraging the systems by having multiple resources point you back to this site. Is that still what you found to be true?
It is, and I want to clarify this because it's the #1 question I get asked. See this page right here that you see, this 89144 on the screen, Las Vegas, Summerland, I'm not going to take that page and copy that entire page across all of those other channels. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in to my Blogger account, let's just say. That's the editor I use to design in. It's called a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I will write an ad or use a listing template that's specifically designed for blasting across the web. So I'll take that and I'll put it on Blogger and I'll put it on Craigslist and I'll put it on merchantcircle.com. Well, I don't own those sites. I'm not worried about domain credit. I'm not worried about duplicate content. I'm creating a piece of content intentionally to blast across the web so that those backlinks are valid, creditable backlinks. They're live links coming back to my site that Google says, yes, these are good links because these are relative sites that are driving traffic back to her site. So I'm not saying take your website and duplicate it across the web. You don't want to do that. But I'm creating content specifically for the purpose of blasting across other sites that are not mine.
Got it. Okay, so you do have to put that purpose behind it. So I want to hear as quick as possible, because I know you and I could probably go for hours with our personalities. You came back from Mega Camp. You said, I'm going to hyperlocal. So what was your hyperlocal focus? What was your, I'm committed to being on page 1 of this search? What was that? You there?
You faded out.
Sorry. So I want to hear the last 3 to 4 weeks when you said, I'm coming back from Mega Camp and I'm committed in being number 1 or on page 1 of this hyperlocal search. What was that hyperlocal search?
Well, it's anything to do with Summerland. The master plan, we have a master plan community with 40,000 homes in it. It's going to be 80,000 when it's done. So I wanted to own every neighborhood in there. So if you were to, I don't know, if you were to Google Summerland Arbors, you're probably not going to find me on those yet. Those are probably going to be a bit rich. Maybe on page 2. Right now, the target is to come up on page 1 for everything from Summerland Homes to Summerland Real Estate to all of those little more generic. But right now, Zillow and Redfin and Trulia and all of those are owning page 1 for the major keywords.
Sure.
If you get down into the specific neighborhoods, you know, the Arbors in Summerland, Palo Verde High School, so those kind of searches, and I showed you guys a few of them yesterday, and I can't remember which ones they all were. Those are showing up on page 1. I probably have, by now I have about a 300-ish actual search results showing up on page 2, which will be on page 1 in just a matter of probably within the next couple of weeks.
So if somebody wants to look at what you're looking at, so let's say I want to say real estate training East Orlando. That's my hyperlink link. And I want to know where I'm doing and how I can almost rate myself. What's the back office of Google look like, and how are you really finding this analytic? Is that a quick answer?
It's not a quick answer. I use Google Webmaster tools, and like I said, if I really want the research, I'll run an ad campaign on it so I can get the research.
Okay.
Google Analytics combined with Google Webmaster tools plus sites like our eEdge site has some great website statistics and reports in there to get a general overview.
Yeah.
When I'm going after, and later when we're off the webinar, if you want me to send you any of those keywords that are showing up on page 1, I'd be happy to. I think the most important thing is to know your target audience, and then when you start writing content, the keywords actually become quite natural. I'm not spending a whole lot of time looking up, are there 20,000 people searching for homes for sale in the Arbor, Summerland, right? I'm writing as much content as I possibly can around the community of Summerland, and all of those keywords are just naturally flowing.
Okay.
Because, you know, and I had somebody the other day Google, I think it was home values in 89135. Now that's not even a keyword string I would have known to go after until everybody who calls, we ask them, what did you use? What did you use? What did you use? So then right after I hung up the phone, I went after the next 12 keyword strings right around that one. Home values in 89135, home prices in 89135, home sales in 89135, real estate in 89135.
So you just gave me a big aha that you could even break this down knowing that 30% of your leads come from Google. When you do that, you're saying, great, what was your keyword search? What did you put in Google? And now you're tracking that to be able to build your next content. That was a
that my team owns that responsibility. That when they talk to somebody that says, I Googled you, the next thing they say is, what keywords were you using? And the person will naturally say, oh, Las Vegas short sales, best agent in Las Vegas. My favorite one, somebody actually Googled a no deficiency short sale Las Vegas. And I had done
broke up. What was that again?
They actually Googled Bank of America no deficiency short sale in Las Vegas. And I had just written a press release that year about closing a short sale in Las Vegas for Bank of America and no deficiency to the seller.
Love that.
So I like doing, huh?
I was going to say, I hear some success stories of people who say, I wrote this blog or made this video 4 years ago, and it, for some reason, gets the #1 hit. Do you have any crazy success stories like that, where something just can't seem?
Well, I had a Backpage.com ad, a seller ad that was free, stay on page 1 of Google for 2 years.
Why do you think that was?
Huh?
What was specific about that? Were you able to pinpoint it so you could duplicate it? Or was it?
You know what? Here's the thing. A lot of times it has to do with the relativity of the site that you're advertising on. So sometimes they're, I don't want to say flukes. It's a perfect scientific combination of the keywords that I use, the platform that it was put on. I can't for the life of me now get a Backpage.com. It's crazy. It's just how, for a while Active Rain was really hot, ActiveRain.com,
Yep.
And then it died off, and now it's back again. But yet I'm getting an amazing amount of traffic from Active Rain, but I'm not getting a lot of seller leads anymore from Active Rain, which I used to get at one time. So sometimes it's just a matter of depending on how well that platform is doing at the time that we're advertising on.
What are your favorite sites to use? What's your top 5?
WordPress. If we're still talking about feeding Google, it's going to be WordPress, YouTube, Active Rain. I'm still going to go with Craigslist for some component. We don't have time for my soapbox speech with Craigslist. And there's so many other ones to choose from that I'm...
It sounds like that's tier 1, though. Even just those top 3 is tier 1. Craigslist is vaguely 1, then after that drops off. So if somebody were to focus on just 3 things, YouTube, I know, is owned by Google, so that's a huge point of it. Active Rain specific for real estate, if I recall, correct?
Yes.
And then WordPress, is that because it's linked into your e-agency site?
It's linked into many of my sites. That's one reason I love it so much, and it gets crazy Google juice. WordPress is #1 for sure. I have a WordPress now on my e-agency site. I have a WordPress on my seller site. I have a WordPress on my short sale seller site. So I'm getting it, and my Lori Ballen site is built on a WordPress platform. So if nothing else, I would spend a lot of time in my WordPress site building content, making it keyword rich.
Perfect. I'm going to wrap it up, so make sure we can have some Q&A. There's a couple of questions on there real fast. As you guys have questions, type it in. I'll make sure I unmute you. One thing I do want to talk with you about, because this is near and dear to my heart, because I believe that we're only as big and as smart as people that we aspire or talk to or hang out with. And coming into it, you were very fortunate to have a mentor in Dave Jenks. And now you have a mentor in Seth Campbell. For those people who don't know them, if you could give us the real Cliff Note version of how you felt that you got that opportunity. Is it right place, right time? Seth Campbell from the Baltimore, D.C., you guys linking up across the nation, and what he's done is remarkable in the past 5 or 6 years. So tell me about that mentorship of what they've done for you in your business and how you feel that you've been fortunate enough to have 2 mentors like that.
Yeah, I've never had mentors in my life, so this was brand new for me. I met Dave Jenks. Dave actually happens to own my market center. One of the reasons I joined KW actually, and definitely a big reason I joined my market center was for Dave and for Debbie Zoyce, who's the OP of my market center, who also we've shared long conversations, and she's been very helpful as well. Dave is we bonded immediately. He gives me permission to be me within lines, and I really appreciated that. Like, he's one of those guys that just says, go, 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 but yet he'll stop me and say, okay, you're about to derail. You need to pull this back now. Let's slow down for a second and process this. And he's the one, I'll post something on Facebook like I'm about to make this crazy move, and my phone will ring, and it'll be Dave saying, okay, let's walk this out. Let's talk it out. And I asked him once, I said, why did you choose me? And he said, Lori, every mentor in the world wants to know that their value they're providing to somebody else is being used. And he goes, I tell you something and you implement. I tell you something and you tell the world, and you share it with them and you pay it forward, and I'll be with you forever for that reason.
Yep.
And Seth Campbell, I don't know, I have a Facebook group, a Mega Agent Facebook group that's an exclusive group for top producers and team builders, and I never heard of him before then. This was just about 2 years ago now, and he started very slowly dropping in some advice in there that was just magical, amazing, like come from another planet advice. And you know, Seth's he's always looking for relationships with people that he thinks are talent. So he reached out to me and kind of said, hey, I want to be your Dave Jenks. You know, I'd like to mentor you as well. And both have been pivotal for different reasons. Seth is a leadership guru, in my opinion, and his business mind and his leadership mind, he has really, really helped me build and get past some ceilings, you know. So I still think business coaching, everybody should be in coaching and have a coach. Mentors can't replace coaches, but I think when you're lucky enough to have somebody come along and say, I want to mentor you, that's just such a gift.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we've got a handful of questions here. So Gina Sharma, can you hear us? Gina, you there? All right, so not hearing Gina. She had saw, obviously, your website that we looked at, and I believe that was built by Brandco. She said, do you recommend that this is an investment worth spending?
Yeah, let me clarify. It's not built by Brandco.
Okay.
Brandco puts a spin on it, and they have a WordPress blog called the Piggyback blog. And that Piggyback blog is on a WordPress platform that they then put on your e-agency site. So they did that banner up top, and they did an infographic on the front, and otherwise you can see a lot of it's just the e-agency site. But they put their Piggyback blog on it is why I'm finding so much gold in it. I think I could still build on the e-agency site without the Piggyback blog, but I like the WordPress the power of WordPress. So do I think it's worth the investment? Yes, if you're gonna use it. If you're gonna use it, absolutely, it's worth the investment.
Okay. And then Raj Shankla says, is there someone who can help me with this? Raj, I'm going to go down and unmute you here because I'm not sure what part of this you meant. So hold on, let me find you. Raj, can you hear us? Raj? Hey, Raj,
yes.
where are you from?
Los Angeles.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping on here. So you had a question. Is there someone who can help me with this? What exactly were you talking about? What is this?
Well, implementing WordPress on her eAgent C site and on the eEdge sites, because you had mentioned, well, she had mentioned that she has a WordPress kind of overlapping on them. So I guess that's brand.
Who would you recommend, Lori? Who would be a great resource for Raj or anybody else to reach out to really start that?
There's two that I know of that are doing this at a high level, and that's Brandco and Michael Tridart. And somebody recently told me that Michael Tridart's even doing something with the eEdge sites. I'm not sure of what it is he's doing with it. The Piggyback blog is exclusive to Brandco, but WordPress is not. So I don't know if they have I would assume if Brandco can put on a WordPress blog, so could somebody else, but I don't know that to be true. And I love Brandco. They do a great job. Those are a couple that I can think of.
And I know them well, so I happen to know their phone number offhand. So there's Brandco and Michael Tridart. Awesome. Let me think. Kevin Woolley, he gave you a shout out for your Facebook group, so kudos to you, Lori, loving that Facebook group.
Thank you.
Debbie Irons, I'm going to unmute you here right now. Debbie, where are you from? Of course I know you, but tell the world.
From Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, Debbie and I went to the Bucks game into Hard Rock over the weekend. So, Debbie, what's up? What's your question?
Rough game. Yes. Lori, what are your favorite tips for turning Facebook, quote, friends into business from your personal page?
Wow, brilliant question. Might have to turn the mic off if I'm echoing.
Yeah, I'm going to mute you down, Debbie.
So that's a great question because it's become such a large part of our business this year. So what I do is I look at Facebook as a database. Now, yes, it's social, yes, it's personal, but I look at it as a database. I'm not going to do anything that doesn't have purpose behind it. So every contact that's in there immediately becomes part of my database. So when somebody friend requests me, I look into it, seeing if they are like somebody I would be friends with in real life. And as soon as I become friends with them, we look up their address if I don't already have it. We mail them a card, a full color card that says, "Hi, it's so great to meet you. Here are all of my groups. Here's my Twitter. Here's my LinkedIn. I look forward to networking with you. Please remember me in Las Vegas." I also put my business page reference on there. I also have a site called Contactually that is linked with my Facebook account, and there's a program I run as soon as I become friends with them on Facebook that also suggests to them that they follow me on Twitter, that also suggests they follow my business page. It sends them a huge introduction with a video and everything on "Nice to meet you." And then this follows through now for a year with just little funny tidbits of emails throughout the year to correspond with them. And of course they immediately are, you know, it's instantaneous. They go on my birthday list, they get a birthday card when it's their birthday and a birthday video, so I'm entire strategy to turn them into business.
I'm going to give you a shout out here and turn on my webcam. Hold on, give me 2 seconds to turn on that webcam, because you did something that just impressed the heck out of me as this is going, and I hope I didn't cut you off.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, web events made easy.
Hello?
Hello. You there?
Oh, there you are.
All right, I plugged in my webcam and it overrode my microphone, so that sucked.
Oh.
What I was showing you guys, and I finally got my microphone back here, was the card that you sent from Sendout Cards. And you took a picture with us at Mega Camp. You sent it out systematically with part of that purpose. And then on my birthday, I got a card from you. And I'm sure you have thousands of people in there. And I think what really impressed me is how systematic you are in building relationships. And so on Facebook, when you get that, it's not just a Facebook friend. It's, are you taking their information? Are you exporting their birthdays? Are they getting a birthday card or a call from you? Because really it's converting it into it. You want the friends to stay your friends, yet you're building them into Create Your Mind Share so they know that you are the real estate guru. Tell me a little bit about that send out cards and how you're leveraging that to really maximize your relationship.
Okay, we did the same thing with our catering company. It was a different, you didn't have send out cards back then, but we would buy boxes of personal cards and we would tape the pictures to the inside and all the old school techniques. Because relationship building is everything, and in real estate we're really in a relationship business. So yeah, send out cards was the first one I saw that I was able to actually go in easily. Well, it's still steps, but pretty easily. I can't remember how I started doing it. I did it with a family picture or something, and the reaction was so amazing. I thought, what if I took this same thing and created this, you know, this connection? So what I did is the first year I went to family reunion, I didn't understand why people knew who I was. It just was so mind-boggling to me, because I had been at a catering company and in a real estate company, lived in a cave, you know. So it was surprising to me. So as soon as I saw that that was what was the case, the next event we went to, my husband said, hey, Lori, let me get a picture with you and so, and you can email it to him later. And I thought, well, why don't I take this and put it on a card and send it to him? So we took it was family reunion, we took 600 pictures, and I sent out 600 cards, and I airbrushed and photoshopped every single one of them myself that time. And then Mega Camp, we did 1,000, and this time I got help because to help me with it. But the response is pretty powerful. We also, if somebody has a baby, we send out cards. If they get married, if they're sick, we have a get well card. And I just read Facebook to get that information. And you know, every time somebody sends us a referral, we're in Summerland, Las Vegas, and anytime somebody sends us a referral in Summerland or in Las Vegas, we send brownies immediately, and that's through Send Out Cards. It's a nice card that thanks them for the referral in advance. Even if it doesn't close, we want to reward them for the activity and thank them for that activity. So it's part of our Wow Factor program. It's all about the wow. We lost you again? Well, I can't see questions or answers or anything, so I don't know if everybody's gone.
Lori, you got me?
I hear you now.
What in the world is going on? Okay, you gotta love the live. Twan had asked a question if you recommend or what your thoughts are on zip codes of Realtor, Trulia, or Zillow.
You know, here's my thing. Anything is worth paying for if there's a rate of return. If you can return the amount of business that you want, covering the expense is worth doing. I can't tell you specifically for specific companies. I don't buy zip code territories. Not to say I never will. The need to do that right now because of our business. If I knew though that I was going to get 4 seller listings a month from a zip code and pay $700 a month for it, I would, because the return would be there.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's just knowing that rate of return. And it works for some people, not with others. I think that what's a big part of it is what you've just talked about with the wow factor and what J. Michael Manley talked about last week with what are you doing to make sure you convert those leads that come through. So we're wrapping up. A couple more questions. Tabitha, audience, attendees. Let me get to Tabitha here. Tabitha, talk. Can we hear you?
Love that name.
How are you?
Awesome.
Love your name. Beautiful name.
Thank you, darling.
That's my daughter's name.
Tabitha, tell the world where you're from for us.
I'm from Orlando, Florida. I'm with the Irons team, Miss Debbie Irons. Whoop, whoop.
So you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've built several businesses using Facebook as well, and I've noticed that you use Facebook and some of your blog posts to stay not just on business but also on your personal. Do you find that that brings you more people, like they feel like they know you before they meet you kind of situation?
I lost the one word in the middle there that you said that I use. What is it that I'm using?
I'm wondering if you found that you using Facebook and your blogs, not just keeping it to business but also your personal, do you find that that brings you more people, like talking about both things, that they feel like they know you before they meet you?
Oh, for sure. The combination of personal blogging, photos, videos, talking about family, music that I like, the diet that I'm, whatever, all of that stuff is very intentional. I share that very purposely because when you feel like you can connect to somebody, you feel like you know them. People do business with people they know or think they know. And exactly what you just said, the power of tying all of that personal in gives them that relationship feeling, and that's what I want to get from them.
And then I have one more question about birth dates. How do you export a birth date? Like I did sign up for your send-outs. I thought that was a really good idea that I saw you posted about, and I did sign up for it, the cards. And I'm wondering, how do you export? Do you literally have to go through every single person?
Yes, unfortunately you do. You can export. There is something in the new Facebook update where you're able to export your data, but so here's what I did. I exported it exports your list of friends. So at least I was able to get all of my friends onto one spreadsheet to know how many were in that particular, on the friends list, not the business pages. And then I started going through daily, and okay, today there's 15 birthdays. So these 15 people we're going to send cards to, we're going to send a birthday video, and I'm going to log their birthday on this spreadsheet. It's been an ongoing process. Now I'm at 5,000 friends, so we're very, very strategic. So right now I take out about 100 friends. We were at 90. It's a little bit higher now than my girl that helps me just told me. I take out about communicating, and then I add in another 90. So out of those 90, we go through and figure out what's their address, what's their email, what's their birthday. That's kind of my one thing. I've built a team, so I don't have to work. I haven't sold a house in 4 years. I haven't personally worked with a client in 4 years, but I'm going to close over 100 sites this year. So my one thing is reach, and that's the database. So I just do it in a very strategic, systematic, day-to-day. That's the last hour I spend every night is in my Facebook, taking friends out and putting friends in and putting them in the database.
Wow.
And now I have a new thing. I have a new thing that's working very, very well, and I created a WooFoo form. And I think it's WOOFU.com. And on this form, I'm able to say, I would like to better communicate with you. And on your birthday and for special occasions, I'd like to send you something. What's your favorite flower? What's your favorite food? What's your mailing address? What's your phone number? What company do you work for? And now they're sending me their information voluntarily, and we can put it right into contactually.
Just ask for it. Novel idea. Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up on time. Lori, what's something that no one has asked you that we should have?
What I'm going to give you guys for free, everybody that was on this call live, we're going to send you my 10 favorite videos of the year, and we'll get those through Rick or to Rick somehow. Thursday I have a webinar too on press releases, and you guys can go to theballenmethod.com/events, and that's a great webinar to be on. We're going to talk all about the power of press releases.
Yeah, that's in a couple days. So on that Facebook post is where you shouted that out. Actually, I'll pull that up real fast. Why I'm doing that, a good question this is Eric Mielis' favorite question. Give us a quick rundown of a day in the life of Lori Ballen. What are you time blocking? What do you do? What's your typical day?
Well, it changes drastically depending on what I'm doing. So January of this year, I built the Ballen Method. So I spent several months really doing nothing but writing my book and creating the system and putting that in. Then right after that, I built another software system that I went right into. So those are spending a certain amount of my hours in the day. I wake up about 4 a.m. and I do 3 hours of lead gen, blogging, press releases, video, website content, adding neighborhoods, social media strategies, creating auto posting, that kind of thing, creating posts that'll fire all month long. Then right now I'm coming into my office, which I wasn't doing for a while, but right now I don't have another project, so I come to my office and do leadership activities and meet with my team, business. So it's a whole lot of lead generating and leadership for the most part right now. Again, since I don't work with clients, I'm pretty much I'm either in the office or I'm at home in my pajamas doing a 10-hour lead generation marathon.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Kristen Cole was here last week, and she's still lead generation. She's not selling. She's lead generating for leaders and talent. And it's figuring out what your one thing is and lead generate that. Here's that link. This is what you guys are going to get. So I'm going to email this over to you.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's that? A couple of you asked where you can find it again, so you can find it on YouTube. Bosley Rick's where we recorded. Talked to some previous people with that. Dave Frazier, he said, Lori, Pitbull's opening a Microsoft store here in Orlando in a few weeks. If he can get you another meet and greet, you want to come over here and do an exclusive training with whoever gets you the meet and greet.
Yeah, you get me the meet and greet. We'll definitely talk.
That's Dave Frazier. He just tagged you in a post. I think that's all we've got for time. I want to respect that time. Lori, appreciate you being on so much. I've been following you, and I admire what you've done. And you helped me become popular because we've had more people on this than I have in the past. So appreciate that. Keep rocking it out. What can we expect in the coming years from the Ballen Group?
Big things. I want to do $1 million in GCI in 1 year hyper-locally. That's my big audacious goal. So we're going to grow bigger, and we're going to take over the hyper-local market and make a whole lot of noise.
That sounds like Gary Keller. To build a big business, you do it by building small businesses, right?
That's it. Exactly.
There it is. Well, next week, if you guys want to jump on, I'm going to be talking with Jackie Ellis. Jackie is a broker, an OP, and a realtor down in South Florida. Outfront Magazine recently came out. She's ranked number 21 in the country for Keller Williams teams and number 1 team in Florida. So if you want to learn what she's doing, Jackie Ellis will be on next week from 5 o'clock. Upcoming Aaron Kaufman, number 1 recruiter, and Keller Williams International will be on. So take a look. You guys have already registered, so you'll be on here every Tuesday. Appreciate you so much for being on here. Lori, you gave us some gold. You're getting a lot of kudos. Yes, it will be replayed if you guys want to take a look at it. YouTube.com/Bosley Rick. Sorry for more questions coming in there. We've got to go with time. Lori, you're a rock star. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rick.
You bet. See ya.